still see a lot of people pouring in, but because we have sufficient participants waiting, we will probably start right away. We have with us today an author and implementer, Mr. Amit Srivastava. He's recently come out with his best-selling book, The AI-First CHRO. Some of you have already been acquainted with that. One thing you need to understand about Amit is that he's not just an academic. He's actually a practitioner. He also happens to be the founder and chief for iona.ai. So Amit isn't just a commentator. Who's watching AI from the sidelines. He's actually been an operator, built and deployed a lot of AI-driven high-volume hiring and onboarding kind of solutions within a lot of enterprise customers in his day, of course. And he is today here to give us a sense of the whole debate around believers versus achievers within the AI implementation space. I am really glad to have you here.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Vinit. Thank you.
So, Amit, the way I understand is, and obviously your book also talks about a lot of these angles. I mean, we would probably want to understand the approach first on, how one would go about, building their goals, understanding, the priorities within them. What are the bottlenecks that they would possibly, probably encounter in their journey of implementing AI. Even your book talks about two HR leaders who both believe that AI is here to stay, right? And after spending a lot of time and effort, creating some real life scenarios where AI could be implemented, there is nothing to show, right? So where exactly do you see that gap is?
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Vinit, and thank you for having me here. Why I have written a book, in the world of AI, I've written a printed a book, and the reason is sort of quite simple. I have worked with many CXOs, including chief human resource officers and big teams, large enterprises. And wherever I have went, whether it is an HRMS, normal HRIS implementation, or ATS implementation, or performance management solution, or point solution implementations, I realized there's no method, right? And previously it was fine when you have got implementation timeline which are in months. Sometime, think about you have implemented SAP or similar Oracle, it may be 12 months, 18 months cycle thing. But nowadays that cycle has shrunken a lot. Now you can go live within sort of weeks, right? And at that time, with that kind of velocity in change thing, you need to have certain frameworks. So AI is not just a technology itself, right? It's a thought process. So for managing the thought process, you need to have some sort of guidelines, some sort of frameworks to manage yourself and know where you are, right? So whether you have just started your career in HR, or you are a middle manager, or you're VP of talent acquisition, or you're managing L&D, you should be thinking about what is your own framework of assessing these things. So this is how this book started. It's a story, and I would suggest you to read it. There are also a brief of it. I have tried to provide briefs on LinkedIn, etc. It's all on Amazon. But why this particular webinar? So we are touching upon a very simple thing. That's a mindset problem, right? So the idea is to assess yourself and your own organization by answering certain simple questions, so that you know where exactly you are and where exactly your organization is. Forget about the tools, forget about the technology. Nothing matters. What matters is what is your way of sort of dealing with this change which is happening around us. It is not only happening in HR, every department, even the governments and military, and everybody is sort of positively or negatively affected by it. So it's our choice to understand this thing. So the first mindset which I tried to talk about in the book, it's called AI tourism. So what AI tourism means actually is you're going everywhere, right? So let's do this pilot. I mean, as a practitioner of iona.ai, I have done many pilots. And because if you have created a tool, you want organizations to try it. But there's no method in, okay, they have tried it, but they don't know whether it is passed, it is or failed. But another 6 months gone, your vendor is waiting, your own clients are waiting, like departments, hiring managers, etc., but nothing has happened. So first of all, understand where is your mindset. Like, I have seen there are many submissions happened in sort of a 2-minute link which we have shared, but I'm not able to sort of analyze it in real time right now. But I will share the analysis what people who have submitted at least a few hours back. So I think Vineet will show that slide,
Yeah.
so that you can understand that AI tourism is actually hurting us, right? So what AI tourism means, you're trying so many things, but you're not making home for just one thing or two things. In other words, the question is very simple. How many AI technologies, how many AI workflows, how many AI interventions, both agentic AI or general purpose AI, whatever, is in the production? That is my sort of first question, right? So what in my sort of research, and I think Vineet will show that thing, and it's a spectrum of whether you are sort of skeptic, like AI will not change my job, AI will not affect my organization, I'm not bothered, and to people who are actually achieving with AI. So in that spectrum, these 10 questions actually help you in understanding where exactly you are in a very simple manner. No rocket science, no technology, nothing. It's just saying, where am I in the whole spectrum of things? That right, Vinit?
Right.
Hi,
And that's
hi.
very well put. I actually got Tulana also joining in. Hi, Tulana. Tulana, you're on mute.
Oh, am I? Oh, extremely sorry. Hi, and very good afternoon to you, Vineet, Amit, and everyone on this webinar here. Really sorry, a little bit of a snack always at the last moment, but I'm glad I could join. So yeah, very good afternoon, and I'm happy the conversation has started. And I was hearing a little about what Amit is saying. So yeah, let's carry on. Interesting conversation.
Well, you're right on time. We are just trying to understand the the spectrum across believers and achievers, and we were soon going to raise a poll. But before we do that, I would want to introduce Tulana to the audience with us today. So everybody, please pay attention. We have Tulannahinaa Maity, the CHRO of Anand Rathi Group, joining us today. She brings that one thing that policymakers like Amit may probably not be able to shed as much light. But that's where Tulana can bring her own expertise in understanding how these frameworks have actually turned into a reality for you today, right? And we'll actually be able to look at tangible understanding of what AI can achieve in terms of a company-wide operation, right? How does ROI look like? What are the timelines like? Obviously, we will delve into those angles in more detail, but first things first, Tulana, we would love to understand what your take is on the believer versus achiever kind of a argument, and where do you see your company being placed in that spectrum?
All right, Vineet. So here goes what my feel and the reality is also at the same time. I am working with Anand Rathi Group, which is a financial conglomerate in the wealth management space, primarily in the domestic market. But yes, they have their offices in the international market, in UAE and London, in a small way. So as the financial market goes, because it's people's money, and digital transformation has been an element in this, however, in bits and pieces. With the advent of AI, companies like us are slowly and steadily walking the path, being very, very careful because we're dealing with people's money. And there is a sentimental value attached when you're dealing with financial transactions of people and trying to make people's money grow. Whether to put it completely in the hands of a machine who do the work, and then what happens if there is an error, and how do you also balance the advisory aspect, the emotional aspect, relationship aspect of this business. So in a nutshell, I think my company at this point in time is still walking that step and would be categorized under the believer. In fact, an early believer. They are also not very gung-ho about, yes, we have to go the whole hog. There is no, ad hoc or large investment being made in this field. Although there are many AI vendors or support partners who are willing to partner with the wealth management industry to be able to, take it to the next level. But the progress is intentionally slow. There is absolutely no fear in the minds of any of the employees of this group saying AI will come up in a big way and we'll lose our job. In fact, nothing of that is going to happen. We slowly and steadily taking one step at a time and trying to implement AI in a partial way in some of the other specifically manual, monotonous, operational kind of role, and using AI as an enabler and see how it goes. So for me, for the company, and for me as the head of HR of this company, I think we are early stages of being a believer, not really a believer as well, because, and the reason for that is the risks associated with it is very, very large. And we are a highly, highly regulated company. This financial industry is highly regulated with the likes of SEBI and RBI continuously monitoring the entire game. I think the paths to completely adopting AI and being an achiever in that space and being in that race is not something that at least we as a company are looking at. And I think people in my space are also walking that space in a similar way. Over to you, Vineet.
Thank you, Tulanna. At this point, I think we've actually set up ourselves really well to actually send out this poll. So I would request everybody who is currently joining us in the audience to look out for the poll coming up on your screen soon.
That I would just like to add, while you guys are doing the poll, there's sort of there's no right or wrong thing where exactly you are in the spectrum. But the main problem is you think you are doing a lot of things in AI, but actually you are still in the sort of believer spectrum. So accepting that thing solves a lot of problem in terms of how you are approaching AI in a strategic manner, right? So the strategies, as Tulanna has just mentioned, you are a believer. So that makes a lot of things a lot more clearer. Why I am here and how I am treating carefully because of my sector, because of my culture, because of my approach to, whatever. But this is properly communicated with everyone. So there's no point sort of having a random top of the feature list demo, right? So there's no point going in sort of those demos, those conferences where these things are being sort of on the show. So you should be focusing more on the policy side, the guardrail side, the AI governance side, more and more things which can address your inhibitions, so that's a very different strategies where exactly you are.
Would you see these frameworks or these policies and governance pieces to be more fundamental in nature in terms of when somebody is trying to approach AI implementations?
Absolutely. I think Tulanna can add. She's dealing with on day in, day out basis, and she has mentioned that as well. AI governance, AI risks, the guardrails, the harnessing. I mean, at the moment, we don't know what we don't know. So it's a black box. So explainable AI comes into picture. Okay, you have done the matchmaking with the job in HR context. Can you explain why? So this is where the DPDP and all sort of acts coming in, where you have to be transparent in how you are doing the things which are affecting people.
Agreed. We'll just give a few more seconds for the poll to complete. Anybody who hasn't voted yet, please feel free to cast your vote as soon as possible.
I think, Vineet, at this point in time, I think this is a very interesting format where we are able to take a live poll from a live set of audience, and that makes the discussion so very interesting, instead of just few of us, doing the discussion, the rest of us listening. Obviously, most of us with our cameras switched off, etc. At least with the poll, people are engaged, and in a way, they are able to participate as well, and give in and engage in this conversation. So this is, for me, this is more like a conversation, and the more people participate in it, the better the discussion goes.
That's very
That's
nice.
really well.
We spent a lot of time for Q&A thing as well, right? So
right.
I think we've got sufficient votes for now to at least get a sense. And apparently it's a split vote. It's 50% on believers and 50% on achievers at this point in time, which is interesting to see, because I think it's almost close to what the other samples that we have taken so far has revealed. But we actually found a similar kind of a metric today here as well on the call. So Amit, we've got 50% believers and 50% achievers on the call today. How would you set an outcome that everybody on this call could probably set for themselves, rather, towards the end of this call, that this is what they would be able to walk away with?
Yeah. So as I said, there's no sort of right or wrong thing. It sparks a conversation within your own mind, right? When you are doing this self-assessment, you should be thinking about, okay, I am a believer, then what exactly it means. And I think I will talk about that, how you should. So suppose you're thinking you are a believer, and then match the people who have voted for themselves for believer should see what their strategy is. How are they approaching AI? Do they have internal team who are trying to put up some tool, or they are depending on sort of external vendors? So all those questions they should start asking now would be correct in that context. And also you should think about that if you're a team of 20 people, do the poll and see how many believer and achiever in that team. So that will decide, if you want to become an AI-first CHRO or AI-first management trainee in HR or AI-first talent acquisition person, then this is how you should engage and start. So it's a thinking framework. As I said, there's no right or wrong thing. And if you see from the slide, I have done this analysis at many places. Most of the time, people are active believer, right? So this is spectrum. So you are a skeptic on the left, and on the very right hand side, people who are actually achieving and showing that they are, achieving it. So they can go to their finance and say, I have done this thing, and as a result, there is a 30% measurable cost saving here, right? Or there are now 20% more managers who are engaged. So something which is very tangible, measurable, so that your HR department, your finance department can easily understand, right?
And recognize those efforts that brings them fruits.
Something very simple, they work on spreadsheets. They don't have sort of these nice looking HR tools. So the very specific, they ask very simple questions. So what? Has it moved the needle? Okay, you have done all the implementation, got the latest cloud framework and everything. What exactly has happened? So this is how the active believer thing is start moving towards emerging achiever. So now you can say, no, I've got these 3 things in the production, and these 3 things are actually delivering value, and this is how I'm measuring it. Before and after the intervention, this is the real delta. It should be as clear at that. If you have got that clarity, then you are, an established achiever. So that's the sort of spectrum, what it means. Most of the time people are in active believing thing, and this is, I'm talking about not individuals, I'm talking about organizational
Organizations. Tulanna, are you still with us?
I think she went on mute.
Yeah, I lost it. I lost it in between. I think I couldn't hear in between. If you could just repeat, because it went in a loop.
No, so Amit was just guiding us through the various pockets of the spectrum and how, the tendencies tend to change as you move from, say, skeptic to an established achiever. The lens with which they think also kind of changes, because on one half of the spectrum, the achievers have a lot of tangible outputs to show, right, as compared to the believers who are still trying to figure out how to go about, even setting goals for that matter, right? And I think we've kind of set the agenda on, or rather the framework with which that everybody can probably approach these kind of problem statements and tackle them with AI. But coming to the actual realities of implementing or adopting AI as a core technology into your processes. So I would direct this to you, Tulanna, that if you could just share some examples or experiences that you may have come across, in your time, where AI implementation was actually not the very first step, right? Because there's a lot of thinking that happens much before you even approach the problem with actual technology, right? So in that stage, how do you kind of define the problems, and how do you plan out that solutioning part?
Okay. See, I think the way not only me as an HR, the CEOs of the as a HR head, the CEOs of the company are looking at it as an advanced transformation. They are looking at, so as you can see also from the poll here, almost about 83% people are between early believers to achievers. So early believers to early achievers, with maximum tilting towards an actual believer. So there is belief in what AI is going to do in the future. No one is saying no to it. But even the CEOs of the company who finally take the decision with regards to profitability of a company, or maybe how do you want to shape the company in the future, and that an element of digital is important, and one cannot really not do without it. So I think everyone, the way the planning goes is to look at it still from a digital transformation space, wherein the budget that is allocated to digital transformation is being expanded now to also include AI. And I can call it from the BFSI space, which is the banking and financial industry space, all across India and globe. So yes, the planning here goes by saying we need to spend more on our digital transformation and make AI a part of our daily routine. That's how it starts. And then an additional budget is allocated towards AI, which is still, a lot of it is still automation in the first phase. How can we ensure that we use a machine to automate our manual, repetitive, transactional kind of work, role, jobs, atmosphere, etc. And then it goes on to say, let's look at 2, 3, 4 functional areas wherein we can install AI, and then let's see what is the ROI that is given. I think the way you've put it is rightly, as a believer versus achiever, because the difference between the believer and achiever is, I believe, or my company believes, but we've not got any concrete results yet, versus a company who's implemented it and has really gotten ROI. I mean, you could look at it in a way, the IT companies are looking at it, wherein they're chucking out people in the name of AI, and then they're saying that we've implemented AI, that's why we do not need so many But that's the first step of your profitability, saying to be able to install AI, I have moved so many people, but you've not yet got the ROI of AI. I think there are some companies who are calling people back to be able to not the whole hog that they've asked them to go, but some section of those people to come and do the strategic part of the job that they probably won't have thought about it. So I think company in the planning stages are still looking at AI from digital transformation space, from an automation space, and the budgets are allocated accordingly. An attempt to maintain the profitability in the short-term space. Some of them are laying off people. Earlier ones who had laid off people, some of them are still again calling people back. So I won't say it's in a chaos, but it's in a continuous transformation, trial and error kind of a space. We are all doing pilots to see what works and what does not. Till such time someone actually stands up and says, hey, do this, and this gives me real results. How would you really?
So I understand this is like a cyclical process. Is it? I mean, you start off with one iteration, take four modules, and you start first leg. As you said, it's automation, right? Any machine kind of automation. Then you start introducing AI elements to see if it's actually enhancing things, right? So, which is more difficult, figuring out, the problem areas in each iterations that needs to be, improved on, or actually finding technology that actually can solve it or complement the existing stack that you currently have?
I think step at a time, and I don't think when any company is looking at AI, they're only looking at bits and pieces or one module of it. They're looking at a segment of the job role that they want to automate. And then they're trying to see how can AI improve my efficiency? How can AI improve my accuracy? How can AI? Till now, even people who are in the emerging achiever stage are those that have implemented AI in their automation space, things that they could automate, things that they could make. They've implemented in the space and they have seen results, and hence they say that we've achieved something through AI. But I think in the AI space, we've moved from the generative AI to the agentic AI, and hence the real essence of AI is much more broader. I don't think there is any legit ROI that we've got. At least I haven't read in that space. I think there's still trial and error in the space. But as far as using AI to make my work efficient, faster, accurate, that work is going on in a lot of space, and there are results in that space as well. Positive results.
We would love to talk about the ROI piece, but before we do that, I would want to talk about a term that Amit has coined, in his book also, and we spoke about it before you joined in. That's AI tourism, right? So there are so many tools out there that promises X degrees of automations and improvements in processes, right? And most of these believers tend to go window shopping in those areas, right? Do constant demos and try out new products, but there is still no direction in which they can probably steer the actual implementation into. Any thoughts from you on that, Tulanna?
Sorry, my network continues to be poor, so I think I lost you bits and pieces in between. If you could just summarize it for me again.
So I was just talking about AI tourism, where there are so many products out there that get demoed, and people try and test those platforms,
Yes.
But they don't have a direction in which they can
Right.
implement these solutions into.
I think AI tourism is the right word. Yes, people are, as you rightly said, doing a lot of window shopping, and some of them are also buying the product to see whether it fits. I won't say there aren't many, sellers trying to sell some AI products. There are a lot in the market. I think it is, you have to customize it company. There are a lot of products available in the market. Many of them are good, but many of them might not fit the requirement of your company. So you have to be very, very pragmatic in choosing the right product for your company. Eventually, no matter what you choose, if your first step is only to make the job much more faster, accurate, and efficient, there are many. For example, let's say in the HR space, a lot of work has started on the sourcing and first level interviewing through AI. That's on for a lot of companies. And yes, we are saving time there as well. So what are we doing with those people who've started, who are not, who were doing the screening and the sourcing, is we've utilized those people to now make more analytical decisions or strategic decisions, which they were earlier not being able to put some thought to the entire hiring processes, which they were not able to do earlier with their constant sourcing and constant doing the first round and all of that. So from an HR front, AI has come in a big way. Even the Naukris, the platforms, they have their own AI implemented into it, where the search is much more faster and much more effective. The other side of HR on the learning and development space, there are many AI products wherein you are able to create how do I put it, a mock scenario, and you're able to do difficult conversations, practice difficult conversations in a much more effective way, whether those conversations are regarding helping to enhance your pitch skills, or maybe a real life scenario, or maybe any other competency that you want to develop, which a trainer would sit there and try to train those people time in and time out. A lot of it is being done by AI. So as I said, work is happening, but with the tourism which is there's a lot more that is available in the market, and it is to the best interest for all of us who are working in corporates to be able to pick and choose the right item. There is no one size fit all, or there is no one company that I found which does everything from the start to the end. There are some companies which specializes in one area and other specializes in another. So you'll really have to pick and choose. You can pick and choose a combination of companies to be able to cater to what is the requirement of a company. I haven't found anything which just marries in and fits in completely for any company, and they can say, okay, this is my AI partner, or this is the company which gives me the AI support, and I can just enroll with the company and my company turns into an AI completely implemented company from day one. I don't think that's there.
Okay. So coming to defining, value, right? We've obviously spoke about ROI, and Amit actually touched upon it briefly on how, a CFO would probably look at the bottom line and say, how does this help me save cost, right? At the end of the day, and there is an investment here also. There are so many tools that you would end up procuring in the journey from a believer to an achiever, right? And there is an added cost of privacy, thanks to DPDP Act that has come in, which has put a lot of restrictions in the way data was, usually consumed, right? And so, Amit, I'll ask you first, wearing the practitioner's hat, how do you go about defining these metrics for yourself, when you're consulting on a project for, let's say, a large enterprise?
So I think the same old first principle approach applies, right? So the fundamentals hasn't changed. End of the day, it's a process, right? The clearer view you have got about your processes, exactly what it's happening, then the better you will be able to align it. So even in the book, I have got AI created an AI maturity model for HR, right? So what it does in the 5x6 matrix, it forces you to think about all the components, So you should be thinking about your processes. You should be thinking about your people, so maybe your processes are fine, you put up AI, but how the people will be, trained, capabilities are built, or new roles are being formed, right? So the old roles in HR are slowly changing, and they are transforming into new roles, newer responsibilities, wider responsibilities, more cognitive load than it was having before. So people are very important. Measurements are also very important. Governance, strategy. So all these things, you have to think about, five, six, that's six dimensions I have, collected together as part of various consulting assignments. And then it forces us to think that, okay, where I am in my strategy block. Is AI part of the strategy? Means that it is just part of a document which is a strategic outlook of HR in 26, 27, and AI is mentioned there. Is it a strategy, or you have got some real strategy thing? This is how the technology is developing. This is how we understand the finance of AI. The economics, the token economics is very important to understand for everyone. Like Tulanna has mentioned, agentic AI. So token economics understanding becomes very important. Otherwise, you end up, okay. So AI is not only for cost reduction. That's a limited view in my understanding. AI is not only just for cost optimization, but it can unlock many things. So you have to think about the value creation part as well. Then the dynamics changes, and how easily you can explain it to your board, saying, we are not only saving cost, but we are adding these two things which we were not able to do because it was humanly not possible, right? So there are many things which is humanly not possible, but AI can come in and do it, right? So those sort of things have got different ROI equation than how much cost you are saving.
Tulanna, would you like to place your corners on this?
No, I think Amit has covered it all. I don't think there's any point for me left here to add. So I'll move on to the next question. Yeah, next discussion point. Yeah, I think agentic AI, once that is in full force, then is when we can actually say that we are really using AI to be able to develop or make a radical change. Currently, what we're doing is just trying to use AI in the name of digital transformation, or use AI, which is actually digital transformation, which you could have also done without AI. But now with AI, and there's a FOMO, you feel you need to be there, you need to call yourself an AI certified company, or company who's really using AI. You want to be in that game, you want to be in that race, you want to say that, we are a progressive company when we use AI, and hence we have automated. My view is, actually, if you look at it, you could have automated even without AI. It's just because AI has come into force, so you're saying I'm using AI and I've automated so and so. And there was nothing stopping you to automate it
AI
even
has
earlier.
essentially become a medal of honor.
So I think absolutely, it's just a badge. It's just the additional feather on the cap to call yourself an AI, a company which has implemented AI versus a company which is not even implemented AI, and it's been looked at as a non-progressive company. I think that's a delusional stage that we are all in. In the name of automation, in the name of digital transformation, we are loosely using AI. Is a medium which is actually moved ahead, and once we're able to implement the entire gamut of agentic AI, can we then say, okay, we are a company which are fully using AI? So that's my only bit into it.
So Amit, if I was to ask you what was the one thing that, let's say, a CHRO who is currently a early believer, let's say, wants to move towards the achiever end, probably, let's say, in a quarter's time, what would be the immediate priorities be, or how would the approach be like?
So I think, as I said, it's a very simple process. You have to think about those 6 dimensions which you are performing in any way, right? So your processes, your strategy, your measurements, your people, right? And then you see where exactly you are. And it is not only about you, right? So you're just a CHRO, one person, so you need to think about where your team is, so your sort of first line management, second line, and the whole team, right? So you understand this is where we are as head of HR, and this is what my department looks like. And then you have to start thinking about where my capabilities are, which I can get from other departments. So your other departments, especially finance and your legal, your info security, your IT. And then you can see, all right, this is how the organization is at the moment. And if I have to move from, say, a level 1 to level 2 in 3 months, or level 3 in 3 months, this is my plan of action, where all the stakeholders are already aligned. This is how I'm going to build my people capability first, and answer all those questions which may be confusing the team, that if the new tool is coming, what will I do, right? L&D, you mentioned, Tulana, if L&D is, say, managed by AI, then all those people, so they have got all those very, very no-brainer questions, which should be answered at first, before even you are thinking about adding a tool, or what this person A should do, what should person B should do, etc., etc. And same applies to talent acquisition, performance management, how you are doing your analytics, etc. So very simple. Know where you are objectively, not the perception, but objectively what the data says where you are.
So let's assume that the CHRO has set certain goals or milestones, rather, where the first tangible ROI could be seen in, let's say, a quarter's time, right? Obviously, the first pilot is obviously the most fearful part of this journey, because, and like Tulana also mentioned, that this is an iterative process. There's a lot of trial and error that happens, right? And you end up killing a lot of these pilots because, as soon as it starts, you may see certain challenges that, probably may have been missed.
It's not easy, Vinit. This is where the most big problem lies, and you remain in active believer thing. Why? Because starting a pilot is easy, right? You get some funding, you got an excited partner, and everybody is excited. Let's do the pilot. And now it is still going after 9 months, 12 months, and it is still a pilot. People are still hesitating whether I should roll out to every sort of for every employees, for example, if it is some sort of tool, right? So killing and pilot is very, very difficult thing, and even the sharpest leader find it very difficult. That's why setting up the metrics before the pilot start, you can say, this is my kill matrix. I will kill it if these 1, 2, 3 things will not happen, and I will be brutal about it, because it will give me space of doing other things.
And that has to be time bound also. I'm assuming that, within this much time, this does not come into the achieving phase, or whatever the objectives were, set in the beginning have not been achieved, then you end up killing it. That's the matrix.
It's very challenging. Still, I mean, it's challenging to kill something which you have started last year, but that is affecting you.
So, Tulana, a while back, Amit was arguing that you should probably budget as much for change management as much as for technology. And did you, what did you actually, what did that work actually look like in a day-to-day kind of a setup? How does it actually transpire into your day-to-day activities? Because there's already enough and more moving particles within the team that has to be catered to, and then there is this additional project that has come in, right? So how do you manage that?
You're asking me, right, Vinit?
Yeah, Tulana, it's for you.
Because your voice is getting okay. Yeah. No, as I said earlier, we're looking at it with a very different lens to what we should be. If we are really looking at it from a perspective of a radical transformation, then the approach has to be different. But unfortunately, or rather I'd say fortunately, because that helps and gives us so much time to actually realize what we need to do next. If we are looking at it from a project management kind of a view, Or if we're looking at it from a digital transformation kind of a view, or if we're looking at it from an automation kind of a view, then I think that kind of project management, cost allocation is already happening. And companies are just extending that budget. Apart from far and few IT companies, which are actually trying to develop, they're in a different space. So we are the service providers to the customers. So we are users of the AI models or the AI. So we are not a manufacturing company. We are the end users. So those who are developing more on the AI space, I think there is a lot of work that is happening fast. It's happening very fast, and there's a lot of ROI on what the capabilities and the potential. A lot of unleashing of potential is happening. That work is happening and happening very fast and happening very beautifully. I'm talking from an end user point of view, where I'm going to use of what is being developed in the AI space. As I said earlier, it's still a trial and error. It's still a part of my digital transformation. It's still a part of my project management. And companies who are chucking out people are doing it in the wrong direction. So that's how it is at this point in time. Having said that, there is no moving away from it. Like how it happened in the 80s, we eventually started using computers and laptops and tabs and smartphones, etc. We did, and we've now mastered it. There will be a time, and I'm very positive about it, when we will have mastered AI, and we will be using AI in all possible ways to make our work easier, to enabling it. Now, it is for the companies to actually take a step backwards and figure out how they want to do it without disrupting it as much. It is more of reskilling rather than completely shaking up your current organization structure. So slowly and steadily, you have to make your org structure also in a way so that more and more people with the digital know-how comes into your segment. You have to organize your departments so that people who were earlier doing manual tasks and now they'll be doing those tasks through AI is going to actually take the baton forward and hence do away with all the regular monotonous work. So that's the way forward. Or your org structure, your people management, and with your existing people reskilling, these are the way forward.
Okay. So Amit did mention about a kill matrix. So it would be great to understand, because you obviously have implemented a lot of AI projects within your experiments that you've done in the past, right? So, and it would help our viewers to understand how often has this kill switch been actually pulled, or and if that is the case, then more often, so is it the technology to be blamed there, or the process or the planning?
No, it is the mindset which is to be blamed. It is neither, the technology can never be good or bad. It's how you use it. Every technology has got both sides. It is the approach that we are using, which at times is pulling us backwards. Because using it with the wrong mindset to thinking we'll do it in a short span of time and will quickly become an AI-enabled company, that's not going to happen. Like how it took a decade to digitally transform ourselves from the manual stuff to becoming a completely computerized organization, it will take as much time for an industry to get digitalized, maybe to be AI enabled. Maybe it will happen a little more faster, because moving from digital to AI enabled will take a little lesser, but it's the mindset at this point in time. Later, it'll be the actually the strategizing and the reskilling. I mean, we can still say that we are currently also at the strategizing and reskilling phase as well. If we've already crossed the mindset and we are in the right mindset to say, okay, this is what an AI enabling means. Today, so much of money is being spent, but who's calculating the ROI of that? There is no support company which is actually saying, okay, fine, you use so much of AI, let me tell you what have you achieved vis-a-vis what you did not earlier. There's no one doing that. Forget the companies, no one is offering that help from outside. There's a lot of help saying, take this AI plan, take that AI plan, take this AI process, but no one's saying, okay, if you do this process, this is where you'll achieve. So it's more like the only thing that comes out, and because I've looked at so many companies who are offering these AI solutions, is to say your work will become efficient and faster and more accurate. You will not have to spend so much of time, which is fine. But what do I get out of it? And what's giving the whole work to you instead of still my people overseeing it? And if I have to still have my people oversee that, then there's a duplication of the cost.
Of efforts. The cost, yeah, exactly. Since we are nearing the time to end our call, we will probably take a few questions coming in. We've already have a question coming in from the audience. So Tilottama Goswami has asked, she's essentially put a point that data is the biggest bottleneck for AI adoption. I think this would be a good time to probably, both of you to weigh in for or against maybe.
Yeah, no, definitely AI is data hungry, and there's no doubt about it. And so we need to understand what is prediction and what is AI, etc. Right? But there are many cases where you don't need data and you can still do the intervention to achieve your objective. And if you don't have the data, and though you don't have the data, then you can develop some sort of mechanism to start collecting those things or finding out where you can get hold of that data, So absolutely, from my perspective, Tulanna, you can add your view. Tulanna, you there?
Would you like to weigh in, Tulanna?
Yeah, I thought, okay, I was waiting for you, Amit, to add your view, and then I can.
No, I sort of shared my view. There's absolutely point is right for, but in my view, this should not restrict your adoption. So you should think about what intervention you are going to do. That was my view. Yeah.
I don't think. Yeah, Amit, I really don't think we are at a stage where we are in a position to say we will not adopt AI. That's not an option anymore. But the dangerous option is that in the name of adoption, we are actually taking up AI, whatever. So whoever is we're getting sold by whoever is the best seller, and we're taking up a fancy process or a machine learning opportunity and trying to implement in our company without giving much thought of what the result that will yield. So there is no going back from the fact that we'll have to implement AI in some way or the other, and we'll have to do it fully. As the products develop further, and we are able to actually solution the problem, we should be able to adopt it fully. Like they say, empty vessels make more sound, or half knowledge is dangerous. Similarly, half-baked AI adoption is dangerous for the company's balance sheet, because you are actually going to, in the name of profitability, you're not going to make yourself a comfortable place to work. You're not going to you'll not be able to grow in that space as well. So I don't think so growth is possible. with this kind of an ad hoc adoption. There has to be a strategic adoption of AI. So that's my 2 bit.
We have got few more questions, early quick questions if anybody
Any
has.
other questions? If not, we can probably move to the second poll.
Okay.
Let's start with the second poll then. The poll is live, everybody. So we're going to ask you this question one more time. Are you still a believer, or you think you would be an achiever now? It's all about the mindset, everybody. Okay. I'm seeing a uptick in the achiever piece, so that's a positive sign, Amit.
Mhm. So, the book has many other things, if you want to sort of read it and discuss, I'm sure many, and it is just, it's a work which starts the engagement. It is not a sort of finished product, right? So my idea is how we can take Indian HR to the global level. Can we create some sort of next practices which can be used in at global scale? Because the complexity of being in HR department in India makes it, it's very, very difficult. I can relate to all of you. So if you're learning something, share with us. I'm sure we need more discussions around these things, right?
Certainly. In fact, this would be a good time to end this call on a high. Yes, Tulana.
Yeah. So no, before you end this, Vineet, I want to take this moment to be able to showcase Amit's book here. I have it as part of my library, a small library that I have in my office room, and this is helpful. And what you might also not be knowing, Vineet, and I'm sure others also do not, is that I've already done a session for my team, my HR team, my Pan India, Pan Globe HR team, with Amit, specifically on his book. And I wanted him to introduce his book to my team, as well as talk about AI first or AI late companies. Amit has actually done a wonderful session with my team, and they had questions and actually a perspective of what to expect, because a lot of us do not know what exactly to expect, rather than from few vendors who come to us and try to sell us those AI solutions. So Amit gave a beautiful perspective of what is the promise that's being told to how the boardroom results should look at when you actually adopt AI. There is no way that you cannot adopt AI, but how to actually do the planning right, the math right, the structuring right, so you are able to get the desired result and a long-term growth. So that's something I wanted to share at this point in time.
No. Thank you so much, Rona. Thank you.
Obviously, everybody on the call is probably still trying to contemplate where to start. I mean, obviously, those goals have to be set by themselves, or with the context of their organization or the team. But it would be great if we can talk about one obvious use case, right? Which is either underrated, and probably will do both. One underrated use case and one overhyped kind of a use case within the HR that our viewers can probably go back home and reflect on.
Tulana, you want to start?
One underrated. Yeah, okay. One underrated case point would be the entire planning, structuring, deciding, brainstorming. No one is actually engaging an external AI solution company who's coming and selling solution for you. No one is actually sitting with them or sitting with the top management of the company with such vendors to say, okay, what you are selling, is that in line with what we want to achieve in the next 5 years? No one is doing that discussion. Everyone is buying a ready-made product and trying to fit in with the scheme of things. So that those brainstorming is actually not happening. We just buying off the shelf, and hence people who are manufacturing those solutions also are manufacturing things which they think or they have gathered through research of a perception of what could be necessary, so which is basically the low-hanging fruits. But real discussion about what to do with AI and the not happening, and there is no vendor currently who will assist you in brainstorming. That's an underrated thing. The overrated one is obviously the quick fix, and I think more than everyone, the latest gadget of calling yourself agentic AI enabled company is just, and I will not name the company, but there are some off the shelves products which call themselves as agentic AI companies, especially in the HR space. We have some things developed by some brand names which says we've developed a product which is an agentic AI product in the L&D space, which will take away your L&D masters and trainers and facilitators, and you can just use our product and do the entire learning. But so which gives a high to the company, saying that, okay, fine, so our problem of training is solved then. And so that, and the second bit is obviously in the screening space, which everyone is using, so which is overhyped. But a good screening does not necessarily lead to a good hire. So we have to understand that as well. It just helps.
A simple thing about AI is you cannot lose weight by just having a gym membership, right? So you can have a gym membership, but you are not in shape or whatever your objective is. Same applies to many things. Again, first principle approaches. The most boring thing in any, and particularly in HR department, nobody is having one view of their own data, right? So your data is spread across tools all over the place. And then you are adding one more tool, as she has just mentioned. So I think start with the data, what exactly you have got already and what exactly it is saying should be the first thing, in my views. And that's the most boring, underrated thing. Very difficult to do, boring part, a lot of spreadsheets, etc., etc. So that's underrated. There's no tool to do those things. And definitely, like the most shiny tool, go to the conference and whoever is speaking most loudly, you buy that thing, end up buying that. And then after a year, realizing it has not moved the needle, and everybody is losing, including the vendor, right?
Yeah.
So vendor doesn't know, I mean, if you're buying, then I'm selling, right? But vendor should be assisting in the buying process rather than selling.
It should be a consultative action.
It is more important. But if there is no buying process apart from just feature comparison, then it's a recipe for all the chaos.
I think Tulanna's response already answers one of the questions that came in the chat, that what are the processes that are typically pioneered for AI within the Indian corporate space. I think between the two of you, we've had enough and more examples that cover the scope. Thank you so much, Amit. Thank you so much, Tulanna, to be for being present here with us, sharing experiences, anecdotes, and obviously the thought process that I'm actually happy to see that thought process in action. We've actually seen some tangible results in the poll today. There are 3 times as many achievers than there were believers. So that's an incredible shift in the polling numbers that we've seen within a matter of 1 hour. So I'm sure this is only going to grow better as these folks go back home, reflect on what their current priorities are in AI, and figure out their goals and start achieving them. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
We hope to see you soon under this banner.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Vineet,
all the viewers.
and Amit.
Yes, go ahead, Tom.
No, I just want to thank you, because also what is important, Vineet, is also do these discussions often so that we are updated and we are on the same page as is everyone who's also here. Because sometimes we live on perceptions, sometimes we live on what is being fed to us through the news, through the social media platform. Be a disguised reality. It could not be the reality, or you might be reading it wrong. So very, very important to do such sessions where you talk about it and actually share your own personal experience of what is happening in your own company, in your own space, in your own roles.
Absolutely. We are glad that you were here, and obviously Amit was able to give us the other side of how these things usually pan out. Thank you, Amit, and all the best with your book. And
for organizing
got a copy, and I've just started a first couple of chapters, but hopefully after the book is over on my end, I'll probably come to you with some questions.
I will come with an exam very soon.
Okay, that puts the clock on me. I think I need to set some goals for myself today. Anyways, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And
thanks, Tulanna, for coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next iteration will be September, when we reconvene with a new conversation. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Sure.
Have a nice day ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Bye. Thank you, everyone. Bye.